For 100 years, Stonehenge's altar stone was the proudest piece of a Welsh origin story. Every guidebook, every archaeologist, every schoolchild inherited that certainty. But in 2024, a barrage of laser analysis and missing chemical fingerprints demolished the old narrative, pointing not to Wales, but to the far north of Scotland, over 430 miles away. If Neolithic people moved a 6-ton block across half of Britain, what else have we underestimated about their reach? The accepted story was just the beginning. In 1923, the Welsh landscape became the unquestioned wellspring of Stonehenge's most enigmatic stone. Geologist Hubert Thomas, working with the tools and knowledge of his era, grouped the altar stone with the monument's smaller bluestones, tracing their origins to the old red sandstone outcrops of southwest Wales. His approach relied on careful visual examination, thin sections under a microscope, mineral color and grain, and the subtle marks of weathering. Thomas's field notes, now largely lost to time, guided decades of excavation and scholarship. The altar stone, broad and flat, was thought to have been collected along the same ancient route as the bluestones, plucked from the slopes near Myned Preseli and borne toward Salisbury Plain by Neolithic ingenuity. This hypothesis soon settled into orthodoxy. Guidebooks echoed Thomas's findings, and museum displays mapped the journey from Pembrokeshire to Wiltshire as fact. For generations, the story of a Welsh altar stone became woven into the identity of Stonehenge itself. Archaeologists, teachers, and visitors alike accepted the Welsh narrative as settled science. The stone's unusual size and composition, distinct from its bluestone neighbors, were noted but rarely challenged. Inigo Jones had named it the altar stone centuries earlier, yet it was Thomas's 1923 grouping that cemented its Welsh identity in the public imagination. For nearly 100 years, no serious challenge disturbed this consensus. The weight of tradition and the absence of contradictory evidence held the Welsh origin in place. To overturn it would mean questioning not just a single stone, but the foundations of a century's scholarship. A quiet challenge to the Welsh consensus began with a single, stubborn anomaly. Portable X-ray fluorescence, abbreviated to PXRF, brought geochemical precision into the field, allowing researchers to scan stone surfaces for their elemental signatures. When Dr. Rob Eichser and his colleagues Professor Richard Bevins and Professor Nick Pierce turned the device on fragments attributed to the altar stone, they expected a chemical fingerprint in line with Welsh sandstones. Instead, the scans revealed a persistent outlier, a cement rich in barite. Barite is a mineral loaded with barium, and its presence set the altar stone apart from every known Welsh source. This was not a subtle difference. The barite anomaly was a chemical flag, waving insistently against a century of accepted wisdom. Welsh outcrops, even those once considered promising, failed to match the altar stone's high barium levels. The result was clear to the data that the altar stone did not belong to the familiar Welsh landscape. For Eichser, Bevins, and Pierce, the anomaly turned a settled story into an open question. The tools of modern geochemistry had shifted the conversation from tradition to testable fact. The next step was inevitable, a full laboratory campaign deploying every available method to trace the altar stone's true origin. The investigation had moved beyond belief, and the evidence was now in charge. Anthony Clark began his investigation by turning to the smallest witnesses locked inside the altar stone, the zircon grains. Each grain, no larger than a grain of sand, preserves a record of deep geological time. Detrital zircon analysis, Clark's specialty at Curtin University, treats these grains as chronological markers. By measuring the uranium and lead isotopes within each zircon, the team determined the age of the stone's sedimentary source with remarkable precision. The results were unmistakable. Most zircons clustered between 1 billion and 2 billion years old, with a second group near 450 million. This age spectrum matched only the old red sandstone of Scotland's Orcadian Basin, and not the Welsh sites that had dominated previous thinking. To ensure that no single test could mislead, Clark's team layered their approach. Laser ablation U-series dating targeted the cement binding the sand grains together. Using a focused ultraviolet laser, they measured uranium and thorium isotopes in the barite cement, a mineral phase rich in barium that had already set the altar stone apart. The U-series results confirmed that the cement's chemical signature was incompatible with Welsh bedrock, bolstering the case for a Scottish origin. Throughout the process, rigorous cross-checking was central. The team used X-ray fluorescence to verify the elemental composition of museum fragments, ensuring the samples genuinely matched the in-situ altar stone. Each method, from the microscopic to the molecular, reinforced the others. Clark described the workflow as building a fingerprint from multiple independent markers, a strategy designed to eliminate doubt. The outcome was a level of analytical certainty that left little room for the old consensus to stand. A 6-ton block of gray-green sandstone, resting at the heart of Stonehenge, now carries a geological passport stamped in the far north of Britain. Anthony Clark and his team at Curtin University assembled the evidence with the precision of forensic scientists. They tested museum fragments against the most extensive Old Red Sandstone database in the UK. The zircon grains, tiny timekeepers locked inside the stone, revealed an age spectrum that matches only the Orcadian Basin of northeast Scotland. Not a partial fit, not a close cousin. A 95% statistical match, published in Nature in August 2024, closed the door on a century of speculation. The numbers are hard to ignore. The altar stone's journey spans more than 750 kilometers, over 430 miles, from the Scottish coast to Salisbury Plain. Its weight, nearly 6 tons, rules out glacial drift or simple chance. This is not a pebble washed south by ancient ice, but a deliberate selection, shaped and moved with intent. Each analytical technique, detrital zircon dating, laser ablation U-series, and X-ray fluorescence, overlapped to form a fingerprint that Welsh stones could not match. The barite-rich cement, the precise elemental ratios, the distinctive age peaks, every line of evidence pointed north. Professor Richard Bevan said, "We have succeeded in working out the age and chemical fingerprints of perhaps one of the most famous of stones. This iconic rock is Scottish and not Welsh. The debate over provenance is finished. What remains is the scale of the accomplishment. A 6-ton monument centerpiece transported across the length of Britain in an era before wheels or roads. The facts now demand a new story about what Neolithic people could achieve." Stonehenge's altar. Stone did not simply appear at the monument's center. Its journey, spanning more than 750 kilometers from Scotland's northeast coast, demands a new understanding of Neolithic Britain's social reach. Archaeologists now consider the possibility of a maritime corridor, an ancient sea route connecting the far north with southern England. Professor Chris Kirkland of Curtin University notes that such a feat would have required large-scale Neolithic coordination, a level of planning and cooperation once thought beyond the era. Along Britain's coasts, similarities in pottery styles and ceremonial objects hint at cultural links stretching from Orkney to Wessex. These parallels suggest that the movement of people, goods, and ideas was not confined to local networks. The stone's Scottish fingerprint, combined with these artifact connections, reframes Stonehenge as a monument at the crossroads of a connected prehistoric world. No one has yet located the quarry that yielded Stonehenge's altar stone. Field teams continue to sample outcrops along the northeast Scottish coast, but the precise source remains unidentified. The debate over how a 6-ton block crossed Britain remains unresolved. Some researchers argue for a sea voyage, threading the stone along rivers and coastal waters. Others propose a laborious overland journey, despite the forests and bogs that once blanketed the region. There is no direct evidence for either route, and the timing of the stone's arrival at Stonehenge is equally uncertain. Ongoing surveys, new analytical methods, and fresh eyes on old landscapes offer hope. For now, the altar stone's full story eludes even its most dedicated investigators. Today, a 6-ton stone from Scotland stands at Stonehenge's heart, a silent witness to Neolithic ambition we still struggle to comprehend. As new techniques rewrite old certainties, the limits of prehistoric Britain look less fixed. Which boundaries, geological or cultural, remain invisible to us now? What do you think?